G'day and welcome to Daily Insights and Storytellings with me, Moon Willow. It's really lovely to have you all here again with me, and I'm really intrigued to find out what the energies are going to come up with tonight. As you can probably tell by the lighting, I'm doing this in the evening as opposed to earlier on in the day. Only to be fair, at the moment in this country, the lighting's not much different in the earlier part of the day. So while I think about it, if you haven't already, can you hit that subscribe button for me? And if you feel that there's anyone else that would benefit from these storytellings, certainly feel free to share this video out there to whoever needs it. The more the merrier, really. So in regards to the energies, I really noticed overnight last night that there was, well, certainly for me, there was an increase in dreams, and although I can't remember them, I know that I woke up feeling a little bit muggy headed today, and it took me longer to wake up, although I was awake early. But I can really feel there's a real increase in the energies at the moment, and it's almost like there's a pressure building up waiting to be released. But it's unclear as to where that energy needs to go and how to shift that. And I think at the moment all we can do within this is actually really ground and connect to Gaia. She's shifting herself as well at the moment, so that will be some of it. That it's almost like she's turning in a sleep sometimes, and you end up feeling that bit wobbled and feel a bit of a disconnect with her. So it's really important to really focus in and ground, because it's tempting to fly off, especially at night in our dreams. It's tempting to sort of go and search out answers or regurgitate the stuff that's happened in the day. But it's really important to set your protections up and intentions before going to sleep, so that you don't get as lost overnight. I'm not sure whether this is making sense. I'm hoping that it does. The other sort of thing at the moment as well is like, it's almost like we've got that blank canvas waiting to be filled. But if we're busy all the time and because there's the temptation to sort of hurry up and do all sorts of different bits and pieces of work, that we need to be prepared in this way. We need to have that particular aspect ready and sorted, but it doesn't sort of give us a chance to really breathe into what's right for us, what's nurturing for us, how we can actually support ourselves to manage all the turbulence that is going off out there. And overnight and today, I've certainly felt an increase in the turbulence, and that can become quite discombobulating. So that's why it's really important to ground, and really important to settle within ourselves, so that we can move in the way that feels right. If we're too caught up in our brain, in our thought process, am I doing this right? Am I worthy of this particular ascension process? Am I making the right moves to go into the fifth dimension? Am I sort of free enough? All of this, that makes us unfree. It clouds our thought process, and we can get really, really caught up in that, as opposed to allowing things to come in. And if we get too... I know it's sort of contradictory in a way, because I have said several times that we need to go within and start doing our internal work, and having a look at the shadow and the light and the masculine and the feminine, and really integrate all that. And that is important, but it's also important to look up at the same time, so we don't trip. And also so that we can see when other things come in, other opportunities come in. And there are times when things happen, or we get a bit of information in, and it sort of catches on a back foot almost, because we have a idea of where we're going, and something will come in to prevent us from going that particular path or making that particular decision. And what I've had today come through on a couple of occasions is it's rerouting and taking that chance to reroute, that there's that obstacle doesn't have to make us become stuck. It doesn't have to prevent us from moving forward. It's just that that may not be the way that we need to go forward, that actually the universe is providing us some space to breathe into it, to actually notice how we're feeling, so that we can actually not carry that ahead with us at the same time. I'm hoping this is making sense. So it is very much, although sort of taking a breath and looking inwards, also noticing the things that are coming into us at the same time and noticing how that makes us feel. Does that give us a moment of joy, or does that give us a moment of sadness, fear, stress? What is it that that's trying to tell us? How does that inform us about which way we would like to go? Because all information is good information seen in the right light. So on that particular note, we will have a look and see which crystal and which chakra is... Ooh. Right, so I have one jump straight in, and we're back on the heart again. So back with the green Adventurine. So very much sitting in our heart space and very much feeling our feelings and really noticing our feelings, and also appreciating that if something comes in to prevent us doing what we think we want to do, that actually that may not be a bad thing, that actually it may be a present from the universe, from our higher self, to give us the opportunity to take a deep breath and rest and relax, so that when the next thing comes in, we have more strength, more nourishment to move forward, that our well is filled. And it's also accepting that sort of as we sleep and we have the dreams, or we get sidetracked with different things, that actually that doesn't have to be negative, but it's giving ourselves permission to let that settle as well within us, and be able to make a decision about how we feel about what's going off around us. And it might be okay to feel the stress and understand why we're feeling stressed. What is it about the rerouting of our journey that can make us feel uncomfortable? And it could be that that rerouting is bringing something wonderful in, but that is outside our normal scope. We're not used to actually receiving that love, care and attention. So that can actually hold us back and prevent us from reaching out to the beauty and the wonder that is out there. So again, I'm hoping this is making sense to people. If you could focus on the cards, I really appreciate that. And we'll see what cards come out. And I've lost one onto the floor. Well, tonight's is a very weird reading, because losing cards, getting sidetracked, and I actually feel that that is some of, you know how a couple of days ago, I think it was a couple of days ago, well, just before the full moon, I was talking very much about the increase in light and the increase in frequency, and that the opposite of that is that the other side, as it were, is having the increase in the fear, the stress, and the darker elements. And it's almost like this conflict is going off, and it's very hard to navigate that and give ourselves permission to feel it. And it's like me dropping the card on the floor. It's almost an encouragement to stop, to not do what we need to be doing or meant to be doing. That in case you're going to look silly or foolish, it's better to just give up. And I think what's coming through very strongly at the moment is that even if there's plenty of blocks, even if you feel like you're going backwards all the time, or you can't get a handle on everything that's going off around you, that's okay. That is normal. And it is a case of really coming back into that unconditional love of yourself so that you can move forward. Even if it's a small step, it's still heading in a direction. And even if it's just a case of thinking about the step, that is a movement in and of itself, because that's an energetic movement. It doesn't have to be a physical movement. It can just be, well, it's not just about it. We utilize a lot of energy, and it's really lovely that we've got more light coming onto the planet and that higher frequency, which is giving a lot more energy. But absorbing that energy can be tiring, and negotiating the world we live in at the minute can be incredibly exhausting as well. And it's recognizing that it's recognizing that we can have, and we're entitled to have, downtime just to absorb all the energies that are coming in, and actually utilizing that, not worrying if we're looking foolish, but actually continuing to get a real sense of the world that we want to create, and a real sense of who we want to be, who are we comfortable being, and loving all aspects of that at the same time. So going back to the cards, I know we're going all over the place today. We've got the ship, man, and the gardens back again. So the ship to me is it's traveling and movement, and a reminder that the water that we're traversing at the moment is very choppy, but the boat, or our hearts, are strong enough to handle it, that no matter how we're blown off course, if we've actually got that real integration going off, that we can navigate it, that we can navigate the energies that are coming in, that we can notice and witness how they're making us feel, how we would like to respond to it. And it is back to choice. We can choose to respond to it. And if we consider our bodies, our souls as a ship, then we are the people, we are the captain of our own ship. We have the ability to actually navigate and steer our bodies, our souls, our boat as it were, into the direction that we choose. We don't have to follow other people. We can follow our inner guidance, our inner heart. But we do need to have a really good look at our heart completely and know all of it, and be able to navigate and steer from a place of wholeness and a place of awareness, so that it's very easy. And I've noticed over the years that in schools these days, and people as a whole are encouraged to blame other people for things going wrong. That it's not encouraged to take responsibility, that it's always somebody else's fault. It's your parents' fault, it's the government's fault, it's the school's fault, and that there may be an element of that. But the truth is that we are complicit. We go along with it instead of actually having an honest look and recognizing our part in it. We can't do anything about other people's parts, but we can take responsibility for our own part in it, and the choices that we make in that, and the way that we choose to allow it to impact us. And that's not to say that those decisions were made with the information at the time that we had, but we need to actually start captaining our own ships now. and really take responsibility for the type of person we would like to be and the type of world we'd like to live in, and start to navigate our lives and ourselves in that particular way. As with any ship on an ocean, there will be different things to navigate and negotiate, whether that be a whirlpool or high waves, strong winds, darkness, lightness, too bright. And there's going to be a lot to navigate, but we're still in charge, and we are in charge of ourselves, and we're captaining it. And that doesn't mean we have to do it by ourselves. Most ships have crews, and majority of captains have a crew to be able to support them. So we don't have to travel the seas by ourselves on our boats. We can actually gather like a community, but gather a crew that will help us steer our ship in the best way that's right for us. And then we'd end up having a fleet of ships all heading in the same direction. The next card is the man. So I happened to notice on Facebook earlier, there was an Apache quote or saying about a bird. My memory is a bit hazy over all the information, but the bit that really stuck out for me was that within this story was that this particular bird had one male wing and one female wing, and the female wing, the feminine wing, hadn't quite opened up for centuries. So the masculine wing had overdeveloped and become quite violent and quite controlling and overbearing, really, because it had overworked basically. But recently the feminine wing had started to open up and started to begin to work properly, and was enabled to work and enabled to be utilized to give balance and harmony. So I think as well, it's that within this particular card, it's a reminder that yes, it has been a lot of masculine energy for the past several centuries, but it's also honoring that every person has got the masculine and feminine, and we have been encouraged to take a more logical, masculine outlook on the world. And in captaining your own ship, it is sort of like almost like that masculine energy, which is needful, but it has to be tempered with the feminine. It needs that harmony to actually work through properly, because it's coming away from the ego and coming very much into the authenticity of self. So very much looking into your heart and having a real feel, and having connecting with the emotional part of ourselves and that loving part of ourselves, so that we can actually steer our ship, steer our bodies and our souls in harmony, so it is the masculine and feminine combined. And then the last card is, lost it, is the garden. And it's I've mentioned it a couple of times. Well, these cards have come up several times in these storytellings. And it is about community. So, which goes back to what I was saying in regards to the ship and being a captain, but needing a crew to actually traverse the waters safely. And in this instance, I really feel like it's traversing the increase in energies that are coming. And I can really feel sort of a very turbulent energy sort of building up at the moment. And it's looking around, it's taking responsibility and captaining our own ship, and captaining and navigating through these energies in the way that we're taking responsibility and going forward and integrating and balancing the masculine and feminine. But it's not to suggest we do that by ourselves. It's actually looking for crewmates or other captains of the other people who are captaining their own ships, that we can actually empower, we can meet each other, be able to talk about, in a sort of a more social setting, about how we're experiencing the world at the moment, how we're actually trying to navigate these unknown waters. Because although it's been known for quite some centuries that this time in the world is coming into fruition, especially when it's linked into the sort of the lunar eclipse that we had, solar eclipse, and then sort of the 21st of December. And there is this build up, this crescendo, and it has been predicted for a long time. But until we're actually, that's theoretical, until we're actually walking and living it, we don't truly know how any of us are going to experience it. Which is why I feel it's really important to have your crew, the other ships around, so that you have a fleet heading in the same direction to give you support, to help you move through more safely, by having a sort of community of that. And yeah, that's sort of what's coming through at the moment. So I'm hoping this makes sense. The green Adventurine, it comes out, this one, and the rose quartz, for all that there's 8 crystals in that crystal bag. It just feels really, really important that in this moment, that it is very needful to really do the work inside our hearts, to really have a look and sift through and have that real unconditional love of ourselves and for other people, so that we can embrace everything that comes in from the universe, but in a way that doesn't, I don't know really the word I want. It's not to put our destiny into somebody else's hands. We have to captain, we have to take responsibility for ourselves as we navigate forward. We cannot turn around and say, oh, so-and-so's fault because they said to do that. Or Moon said in storytelling that you have to do X, Y, and Z. It's not what I'm saying. We all have the answers within ourselves, and it's time to take that responsibility. We are responsible for our heart. We're responsible for the way that we move through this world. That's not to say that we're not deserving of help and support, because we truly are. But it is about empowering each other, encouraging each one of us to actually be the best that we can, and hold each other's hand as we navigate the worst of it, but recognizing that we're supporting each other, we're not holding each other. That sometimes one person can navigate the rapids a little bit more easily than somebody else, so they can be the lead, and then at the next part somebody else will come in and take the lead. So it's actually sharing and merging and creating a beautiful space where we're all equal. We all have something to contribute. Not one person is better than the other, that we actually all meld together to actually create this gorgeous space. So, as I say, I hope this is making sense to people. I'm just going to see what sound comes through for today. Thank you very much for joining me again today. I really appreciate it. If you would like an individual storytelling, I will put the information at the bottom of the description box. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day, evening, whatever time it is for you. I really, really, really feel honoured that you're joining me on a regular basis. So take care of yourselves. Love you all. See you tomorrow.